Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Vault of Cup, but this episode is another Vault viewing special.
Yes.
Vault viewings.
Yeah, so what we're talking about, it's just stuff we've watched.
Stuff we've watched
Stuff
again.
we've watched recently.
Yeah.
Well, relatively recently, because we've been on and off talking about this for about 6 months. So.
That's true.
It
Has took us a while to get back round
to another Vault viewings, but
Yeah.
like, for all of you there clamouring to know, I wonder what our two cinema sages have been watching. This.
So I've watched recently the new Scream.
The new Scream. Should we give them what we're going to talk about?
Yeah.
And then so you've watched
Scream, the new one, which is a continuation of obviously the very famous franchise. Again, another film I've watched which is a continuation of the famous franchise, Jackass Forever.
Good for you.
And then another film I've picked to talk about today is The House of Gucci. Interesting. So what about you, Mark?
Well, I'm going to be talking about the film Encanto, Disney film. Watched it relatively recently.
Yeah, me too.
And I thought that was worthy of some discussion. And also, I've
One from a few years ago.
one from a few years ago. Yeah, Encanto from.
No.
Oh, my next one, from a few years ago. It's Doctor Strange, the first Doctor
Okay.
Strange. And the reason
It's okay.
I've watched that is because, new one's coming out, and
Yeah.
I thought I'll just refresh myself.
Yeah.
I'll just have
Makes
a
sense.
think. And the other one is one that I watched yesterday, and I went to cinema.
Brand new.
I'll tell you the story, listeners, when we come on to why I watched this. But
Yeah.
it's the Lost City, which is Sandra Bullock, Channing Tatum. I don't know who directs
Rom-com. Is it a
it.
rom-com?
It's rom-commy. It's
Oh,
rom-commy.
okay.
It's rom-commy.
Commy.
Yeah, it's rom-commy. Okay, emphasis on the com.
E.
It's more a com than it is a rom, but there's definitely the rom.
But, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway. So why don't you kick us off?
So listeners, Scream 2022 is actually it's official because they already made a film called Scream.
Right. Could get just
For a
right now.
kick-off.
Why do film studios, when they're going to reboot something, just reboot it with just the same name as the first one? No, it does my fucking head in. It does my head in because it's almost like
You're on the
starting
squeaky chair again.
I am on the squeaky chair. I'm not moving the shit on the chair. I'm not. Live with it, listeners.
Okay. Don't do it more.
All right, I'll
You're like
just
a
sit here
fucking
and-
child.
It does my head in when they use for a sequel
The original name.
the original name for the. It's like you could put what would it be? 4, 3?
This.
Yeah.
This is number 5 now.
Fucking hell.
So I think that a good example of what you're saying is the most Halloween with the most recent ones.
Yeah,
So
annoying.
2018 they brought a film called Halloween, which was technically a continuation of the franchise for a
They
lot.
do it in games a lot nowadays.
Rob Zombie made a version of Halloween about 7-8 years ago, but maybe 10 years ago, and that was just called Halloween.
There's cups of tea and
Reboot.
It's not mine, isn't the Halloween thing.
But we're talking about Scream.
But we are talking about Scream. Well, you led us onto it, but
I'm saying in context of you proving your point to go, it happens.
It does happen. It gets on my nerves. Like I say, they do it in games a lot. Like, they had God of War, they had God of War 2, they had God of War 3. What's fourth one called? God of War. And I'm like, it's a bit annoying that. It's a bit irksome.
Well, do you know what, as well, on the other side, you just start, instead of having the name of the franchise...
to soft reboot something.
Yeah, pretty much.
Here's my question to you. Is that what this is? Is it a soft reboot? Is it a continuation?
It's a requel.
Okay, that's not a word, but we'll go with it. Explain your word.
It's like a sequel. It's a continuation / sequel / they're taking it in another direction, or they're trying to
soft reboot. It's soft reboot.
Yeah.
That's what I mean with the naming convention.
Requel.
That gets it. Okay. We'll try and make that fetch happen, but I'm not sure. Okay, I get you. So what did you think of it? Because I haven't watched it, guys. These are just to throw it out there. We watched these independently.
Oh yeah.
talk about them
Yeah.
to each other.
So just to give you a bit of a synopsis, so the film does include Courtney Cox, David Arquette, and
so it's got
Neve
the old-
Campbell. The original trilogy.
the-
They had the original three, type thing.
The ones who survived, presumably. Drew
Pretty
Barrymore's not going to pop up.
No, considering she died right at the beginning of the first one. So it's almost like continuing the original trilogy, but then introducing the number 4 about, a few years ago.
Okay.
And the main girl who's the survivor in that is the main character in this.
Oh, so in a way, very much.
Yeah,
a direct sequel.
and even again, it's the plot line of the story is like obviously very similar to the original Scream, where it's the long story short. If you've not seen it, guys, these contain spoilers as well. These vault viewings as a kick-off, so spoiler alert. But fuck yeah.
Yeah, well, mostly because I don't know how to talk about films without
100%. You've got to talk about it, haven't you? Like,
maybe that's because we're not experienced enough, but I just don't know how to do it.
Just know them why pretense,
Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
So the main girl from number 4 is the survivor, and she's the main character here. And basically, her sister gets. Or someone tries to kill her sister dressed as Ghostface, and then that kicks off the story.
So is he like a copycat killer?
Pretty much, again, yeah. And again, the plot line is it ends up being her boyfriend. I'm just spoiling it there. And at the beginning, it's one of them where it's kind of trying to be very meta, like the original one. Yeah, I know, mate. I know. He's pulling his face here. He's really pulling his face, and he deserves to pull his face because that's what you'd look like if you was watching the film, mate. To be quite honest,
right? You see, the thing is. Again, as our listeners know, horror is not my genre of choice. I'm not even going to pretend like it's not because I'm a big wimp, because I am a bit of a big wimp. So sometimes I just like, oh no, I'm not watching that, I'll be scared, not sleep. But the thing, I have watched Scream, and I do like Scream original. I've not watched sequels. I'm not that interested.
They do get worse as they get on, a lot worse.
But what I liked about it was it was an intriguing mystery. So, as like, who is it? For one thing, but it was tonally. Scream, I always thought tonally quite hokey in a way,
but
it's thrilling.
It's playing on it, innit?
It's thrilling, but tonally still it's got its tongue. I would not say totally in its cheek, but it's approaching its cheek. You know what I mean? It knows what film it is. I always
again, it meta. It was the term when it come out was in the mid-90s. I think 96, the original one.
So does this try to recapture the tone?
100%.
I've heard people
the dialogue
who've watched the sequels, not this one, the previous sequels. That it never really captured the tone of the original one.
It's aping it massively,
and this one is
apes it massively. For me, and again. It's all this very nod, wink, wink. Oh, it's the boyfriend, and the boyfriend's like, no, because I love you, and I'd never hurt you. But it is him at the end.
Right, okay. And could you tell?
Wait.
Right.
It gets better.
Okay.
So the main thread of the plot in this film is the girl who's a survivor out of Scream 4. I heard that, actually. Mm-hmm. She is the son... she's the daughter of the original killer from number 1, who was Neve Campbell's boyfriend. But she only finds out that she's... in the course of this film.
Is he doing that horror thing where they've soft rebooted it and they're sort of ignoring their own previous sequels?
No, because they don't. They blatantly acknowledge it because she has flashbacks of her dad, who was Neve Campbell's boyfriend in the original, who ended up being the killer with his mate. She keeps having daydreams where she's seeing him and he's talking to her. And obviously, 25 years later, clearly not the same actor. Totally different guy.
Totally different guy.
It's not even Dove. No, I mean...
But is he dead, the original actor?
Yeah, he died, didn't he, in the original Scream at the end?
No, is the actor...
Oh, I don't know.
And to be fair, he'd be a lot older. They'd have to CGI him into...
Yeah, and again, the plot line is it leads them back to Woodsboro, which is where the original Scream was made, and the actual finale is in the same house as the finale in the first one.
Okay, so it is definitely playing on 100%. on the.
And Neve Campbell has no reason to be in the film apart from something's happening and someone's killing like she again. I'm just like, right, bad.
I do detest a plot cul-de-sac.
Right, so and then obviously the camera crew turn up, and who's the camera crew?
The same camera crew.
Oh, it's the same camera crew with fucking...
Genius. Yeah.
What's Courtney Cox?
Yeah.
And she's obviously, you can tell, mate, she's had some work done.
Courtney Cox, she had loads of work done. I don't think she looks bad though, because she were in a TV show that I'm not a fan of, but I saw her in the TV show.
You can tell.
Cougar Town.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of it, but you could tell she had work done. But I don't think she looks bad done. Courtney
and David Arquette, and obviously he's looking his age now. But again, they're only in it because of where it said. There's no reason to be in it at all.
It's do you remember this film? Then
I actually want to forget this one, to be fair.
You really not like it?
No, it's really poor, mate. The writing, again, it's very AP. The first one, you just like... You did it once, you can't do that again. You're never going to be that clever.
And also, it's like... I hate it when there's a franchise that's set donkey's years later, canonically set donkey's years later, but they still talk like it's the early 90s.
Oh, don't, mate.
And you're just like... Why would you talk like that? It's 2022.
And you know the worst thing is, they've actually confirmed they're going to do another one. Oh, no. Stop!
They're going to ring it till it's dead.
This is a bad... Honest to God, listeners, I challenge any of you to sit through this film and go, what a good film that was. Because you're fucking wrong for a kick-off. For two, this film, the dialogue is bad. There's one scene that stuck out for me. So when... the eventually all the original trilogy of characters meet up, right?
Yeah.
There is a conversation between Courtney Cox and David Arquette's characters. Like Gail Weathers and Dewey's called in it. That's the character's name.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head.
Huey Dewey.
So the first thing they do is they kind of set the scene up that they split up and he just walks away because he apparently they wanted different things and all that. But literally, mate, in a scene that lasts about 120 seconds, they go from great to see you to I still love you and let's get back, and I'm like, in the context of the whole film, I'm just like, mate, it's a really fucking weird scene. But anyway, listeners, we're just going to move on from this screen. It's really bad.
Just what would you give it?
I'd give it a slap if I could.
Okay, so
bad. I mean, it's like 4 bad.
4, wow, okay.
I mean, the dial, and how the fuck... But they do leave it open. They leave it open because, again, this main character where she's having visions of her dad and he's like, the killer's inside you, the killer's inside... Oh, guys, it's bad. The killer inside you. And she's like, no, that's not me. And then, anyway, she gets dead violent at the end and it's like, leaves it open to go, oh, she's damaged by this and bad. Just bad.
Okay. Right, well, so what have I watched? Yes, I ended up watching a couple of days ago. I ended up watching Doctor Strange.
Okay.
Because I know there's a new one coming out. I know that, and like from the reviews, doesn't seem to.
No.
Don't seem to be hitting the spot.
Not at all.
So,
from what I've read.
Like, will this be Marvel's first big flop? You don't know. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see because it's only coming out, I think today. I feel like today.
Yeah, I think it's today.
That might be fake news, listeners. But I feel like today. And I just thought, oh, go on then. I'll watch it. Like,
it's okay. I don't think it's a bad film.
I don't think it's a bad film. I mean, there are a couple of things about it where I just think that's a bit odd.
Yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch's accent being like
a
bit ropey, like I have spent time in America, and you're like, have you?
Yeah,
not a lot of time, have you, Ben?
Not really.
Yeah, a bit ropey, but all in all, a very visually interesting film, quite distinct.
I think it was the Marvel at a time. It was very different from what it kind of offered something new.
It needed to. That's the thing. It needed to offer something new because it were coming at the fag end of like all the they were trying to find a new direction because they obviously knew they were going to finish the Avengers saga.
Yeah.
Whatever the saga is called on Disney Plus, the Infinity Saga whatever. So they knew they were going to finish that off, so they knew they needed something to take it off in a new direction.
And I think they needed to introduce that character because they knew going forward he would play parts in a lot of the stories.
And he's dimension hopping, and they've got, obviously this is where he's learning how to do that, and it's like you can tell the makers of that film really liked Inception, by the way.
Oh god,
they loved it. Quite clearly, I can't remember the director now, but it was clearly his favourite film. Must have been loved it.
Yeah, there's a lot of geometry knocking about.
There are very much some strange things that like we've mentioned it before when we were on about Spider-Man. I've never been a fan of the magic, the spell casting thing, and the wax on, wax off. You know, where they do that circle and like a Catherine wheel from but that's nitpicking. Is that? But there are a few strange choices, like the final boss,
the bad guy,
bit weak. It's just really a big blob of
in the sky,
a big angry, and it's like, oh, that's generic Marvel boss 5. Yeah, we'll go.
Yeah, there's no baddie in it as such.
Yeah, and I was like, I need that now more.
And even that
Marvel's known for having weak villains. Yeah. It's always got weak villains, with the sole exception of possibly Thanos, who at least is motivated and has an arc of his own.
Yeah.
But usually they're quite weak. But I thought this was probably the weakest of already a very underwhelming group of villains, and I like a good villain.
Yeah,
I like a good villain.
Well, as the listeners will know, if they listen to the podcast.
I'm a fan of a good villain. So that bugs me a little bit. I find it strange that they picked to be like the Eastern Sage person. What's her name? Tilda Swinton.
Yeah.
I find it strange that they picked possibly the whitest woman working. Like, no disrespect, she's a good actress, but there's an albino, and then her. She's white. She's so white. She's so white, and it's like it sort of took me out a bit. It's because I was thinking, why are you like the Eastern Sage kind of person? I don't want to go all woke and like,
no.
But it just made me go, why though? But why? I mean, okay, you did what you did, but why?
And even the guy of the leader of the other clan, what's he called? Is it Mads Mikkelsen?
It is Mads Mikkelsen. I mean, Mads Mikkelsen. I'm always there for some Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh, he's decent.
Decent
guy.
Always plays a villain, though. But even he's a little bit forgettable and a throwaway character, and it's like you should have just made him the actual villain instead of amorphous blob. Do you know what I mean?
Then he's repetitive in time.
I found Doctor Strange's character a bit unlikable, but then I realised, he's supposed to be a bit unlikable.
Just put a douche.
He's a prat. He's an absolute prat. And if I were his
don't forget, he started out, he's one of the best surgeons on the planet.
Yeah.
And then
exactly.
So you get that. He tries to play that arrogance.
He does grow, and he grows throughout. He's appeared in nearly everyone else's movie now.
Yeah.
Big part in Spider-Man, and and he does grow as a character. So I like the film, but I'm just like, I think if it's gonna take Marvel into a new direction, this one probably needed to be a bit stronger. Yeah, and so it's making me think. I'm interested now with this Doctor Strange, Man of Madness or whatever it is.
Multiverse of Madness. In the multiverse of madness.
Too many M's, Marvel.
Yeah,
but I'm interested to see. It's the first time in a long time I've been genuinely interested to see a Marvel film. And Spider-Man don't count for me because I always just like Spider-Man, and I'm a fan of Tom Holland. So
yeah, but the last one, no way on shite.
It's not shite, but it ain't all that. But this was the first one where I'm thinking, I'm interested to see. So we're interested in looking back at this Doctor Strange to think, were it actually that good? And I'm like, it's all right. It's all right.
I don't hate it.
I don't.
It's
hate
okay.
It.
It's all right.
Yeah. So I mean, if I were to give it something, I think I'd give it a 6. That might be a bit harsh.
I'd probably say 7, just because it's Marvel have done worse recently.
Marvel have done worse recently. The worst fucking 3 hours I've spent. What a load of old tuts.
Eternals, dog.
But
shit.
So yeah, and I think we'd have. I'll give it a 7.
Yeah,
I'll meet you at 7. I'm happy with 7. Won't go further.
No,
Won't go further.
No, I mean we'll put a cap on 7, and that's it. We'll give you that, Benedict.
Yeah, there you go, Ben. You have your respectable 7.
Yeah,
and
we'll move on.
We'll hope the no one's good.
So another film that I watched recently, as I said, Jackass Forever. Right, so obviously the Jackass as a franchise, obviously it peaked about 15 years ago in reality.
I hated it then.
Yeah, I know. It's been going since the late 99, 2000.
I don't know.
20 years. It's been going about 20 years anyway. So obviously, I think this is it the 4th film? I think it's the 4th film in the franchise. It is the 4th film actually. Okay. And again.
What's different?
Nothing.
Why then? Why is it still a thing?
Mate.
Why is watching grown ass fucking men? By the way, now in their 40s and 50s. I know we're on tap camera, but I'm getting a drink.
All right. He's getting a drink out of the fridge, guys.
Getting a drink.
He's back. Mate, so for a kick-off, let me tell you, they actually or purposely recreate stuff they did 20 years ago.
But why?
I don't know.
I didn't like it. Oh, Chris, I didn't like it then.
I'm not even
like
joking,
it
Mark.
now because I always found it cringy. This is when I were a kid. Cringy, immature, not funny. I mean, if it were your thing,
I was a fan at the time.
If you enjoyed it, fine. I know a lot of people absolutely fucking loved it. Wasn't my cup of tea then. But why do you need one now?
You really don't.
For what?
You really don't.
Like what?
And they all kind of look like guys in their mid-50s as well. And you're like, come on, boys.
Have we not moved on?
And do you know what's even a little bit sad about it? It feels like they've just run out of steam and they've got no new ideas. And even, if you watch Jackass, the other films, you go, oh, that's a bit cringy, and it's a bit, for me, just from my point of view, I'm like, I can stick it on and enjoy it for what it is.
So did this get a cinematic release? Yeah. It released in the actual cinema where people would pay good money to go and actually sit in a theatre and watch it?
Yes.
Did it make any money?
Yeah, it made money, it did alright.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, people of Britain... Why?
So that again, it's treading on really, really tired old ground.
Because
and I wouldn't even mind, but it's not even for me. I thought it didn't entertain me as much as a TV show or all the other films. I just thought you're middle-aged guys now. You've run out of ideas. There's no reason for this film to exist. The only good bit about the film is the intro where. He's called Party Boy, one of the guys in there, and he spray paints his dick green, right? And he kind of attaches it to some string so it looks like a mini Godzilla. And the whole sequence of the titles and stuff like that is his dick like going round, and I thought that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I was like, that's funny. And then, like, the end of that sequence is if he's like, dick's coming all over him. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, if I was 15, this is amazing. Yeah. But when I'm nearly 40, it's like, stop it, boys. Stop it.
Right, I can see that it had its place in history. Right, when did it start? The late 90s?
Oh, I'm gonna
Mid
say
to late 90s?
No, it was definitely. I was going to say I'm literally 99, 2000, 2001.
Okay, it had its place because it would have been transgressive and naughty.
100%. That's why it was massive.
I understand that, but have we not seen
it all?
Seen it all now?
And again. 15 years ago is when you've gone, right, we've seen it 15 years ago. We do not need to see any more of these boys.
Yeah. Are you still same group
well,
lads?
minus a few of them, because obviously I think one of them died, and Bam Margera, who was a famous skateboarder, he's had his issues in his life.
Okay.
And obviously one of them died. But yeah, it's still all the same guys, and again, they're all in the mid-50s, and you can tell... And I mean, it's not even fun. I can't even say.
Is
apart
it not
from
just
the Godzilla
a bit sad now?
A little bit.
Bit sad.
And even at the end, I was like, shy.
Oh,
yeah, like
my poor
yeah.
lads. I feel I've not watched it, and just spoiler alert, guys. I'm not going to. But I feel a bit sorry for him. Like I just feel like
it's literally say we're going to recreate this thing we did 20 years ago, and you're like.
But why don't? Because you could just say, if you were a fan of that, you
but
could
even
just
that wasn't even
that.
the best thing they did. Do you know what I mean? Like, why choose to do the same shit thing you did 20 years ago? No, it's bad, mate.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna go 5 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
5 out of 10. Because it didn't annoy me as much as Scream. Because Scream had bad dialogue, whereas this is just guys just dicking about. So I'm like,
I presume it doesn't have dialogue; it just has people talking.
Yeah, so 5 straight down the middle.
Well,
if it's
5, it exists.
It exists, yeah,
yeah.
So Mark, next one for you.
Well, I'm going to talk about The Lost City now.
This new film.
It's brand new. Well, relatively brand new. I don't know when it came out.
Very recent,
a week ago, a week or two ago.
Yeah.
Something like that. Now,
where did you go? Which cinema?
I went to go Laura.
Oh, right.
Yeah, best cinema, by the way, I've ever been in. That I love the seats.
Oh, we went to see that one there.
I love the seats, and you get a little table.
I know, that's cool,
I fucking love a little table. Like, $100 there. Yeah. Well, anyway, I've got a bit of a just briefly. Got a bit of a story. This was not meant to be the one that I was talking about.
No.
I was going to talk about The Northman, which is this new Viking. Looks really interesting and to get violent, but in a good way, and historical, which I delight in.
Oh well, we know
always.
We like a historical thing,
and it's done really well at reviews.
Critics are going on about it,
and it looks really good. So I am going to go watch that. But I fucked up with my times. I swear blind on the fucking thing it said 9:30. It wasn't. Northman started at 8:30. So I had to turn up.
It didn't say 9:30 though, did it, Mark? It said 8:30.
I feel like it fucking did.
Oh well, now you're coming off your fucking tree and going, okay, it was me. I didn't read it.
We will walk it back a bit.
Yeah.
But I swore it was. Well, anyway, so I turned up and I was like, oh, I've missed it. Bollocks. Well, I'm here now. What am I going to watch? And it was this, because I needed something to talk about for tonight.
Yeah.
So it was this or Morbius, and I was like, Lost City. I got Lost City. Right.
I'm definitely sure we will be talking about Morbius.
I'm definitely sure we will, but I've got at the moment no interest in that.
No, yeah, I agree.
But anyway, so I went and watched this, and do you know, it is remarkably uncinematic. This is the most unsubstantial film I've ever seen.
Okay.
Right, it's properly like.
Okay.
There's nothing to it. Basically, the plot is there's a writer, a romance novelist, and she writes like sort of erotic novels,
right?
But she writes them with an historical twist, like they're usually like a Tomb Raider or something like that, and she falls in love with the person who occasionally comes to rescue her, or they go and raid a tomb together or whatever, and so she writes this, but she's deeply unfulfilled because her husband's just died, who were an archaeologist.
Oh, okay.
Right. And she don't really much like her life, and she ends up getting kidnapped because in one of her romance novels, she uses her historical knowledge to basically solve a code, and she uses it in one of her novels. But Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter, who is the villain in this, basically sees that in a book and realises that he could find this actual lost treasure because she knows how to translate this ancient language. And so he kidnaps her and takes her to this island.
Right.
Now, Channing Tatum goes to go and rescue her. Channing Tatum is the cover model for her artwork, and hijinks ensue. Right. So, yeah, for a start, Chris, this is totally not your film. It's not for you. It's not for you. I'm just saying
I will heed that advice and stay well clear.
It's not for you. Because I feel like if I were watching it with you, I'd get more annoyed at you than I would at the film. While you're going, oh no, why are they doing that? It's a daft
no excuse.
Romantic adventure film, and it really is daft. It's properly daft. The humour's daft, but it made me chuckle several times. The humour is very daft. There's a cameo, and it is no more than a cameo, by Brad Pitt.
I've seen that in the trailer.
He's in it for like 10 minutes.
When I watched the trailer, I was like, oh no, I'm out. Not a chance. Swerved.
No, right. You know, I love a Lost City kind of thing. I do enjoy those
again, we've said loads of times that a good adventure film. We're all in for...
This isn't a good adventure film.
This.
I'm not even going to say it's a good comedy film. What it is something in your animal brain is amused by it. Because it's... The jokes that it does do, they made me laugh.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I did laugh in the cinema, and I did find myself getting a touch invested, even though I could tell that this is nothing. This is properly nothing.
Is your experience with the film influenced by the fact that it wasn't what you wanted to see?
I think so. I think.
And you're just like, I'm here now, I'm just going to enjoy it now.
I think if I'd have gone to see this, I would have been slightly more harsh. Now, I like a film that's about a lost city and there's a mystery. I like a hokey comedy. So I probably still would have lent on
something.
It would have won me over. Okay. Because I have to say, in it, Channing Tatum's really not bad. I've never thought he was bad in anything, actually. He's fine. He's fine in it. Brad Pitt's cameo is actually really good. But
he's playing it up to it.
But if there is standout characters, and again, what is a very insubstantial film, it is Sandra Bullock. She carries the whole thing. She is, and she's done it in nearly every film where she's playing a comedic role. She's a very good physical comedic actress.
Okay.
She can carry that. We've always seen it with whatever it. It's like Miss Congeniality, like lots of people like that film. It's not for you either.
So basically, most of her films aren't for me.
Well, no, you
apart
could watch
from Speed and Gravity, I'm all in.
Watch that Ocean's 8. I really quite liked Ocean's 8. It's fine. Don't be a dick. But she is quite a good physical comedian, and she's quite a funny lady, is Sandra Bullock. So she carries that, and she's quite sarcastic in it, but then again, she is in every film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's Sandra Bullock playing Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
And she's quite good at it, is Sandra Bullock. No one can play Sandra Bullock like Sandra Bullock.
True.
And I like Sandra Bullock, so...
She's alright.
So, yeah, I found myself thinking... despite myself, because since doing this podcast, I always want to be a little bit more critical of things, but I just found myself being just slightly won over by it.
What about this Daniel Radcliffe character?
Oh, crazy villain, ludicrous. But
now you see, as soon as you mentioned Daniel Radcliffe, I mean, it's not like I would go out my way to watch anything, but that piqued me interest, and I'm just like,
yeah, he is the villain, and he's a bit ludicrous in it. He's like he's the older brother of someone who's been gypped out of his inheritance because his younger brother's got it, and he's absolutely crazy, and he's usually quite contained, but occasionally he'll just bursts out. It's got
Wild
crazy
out.
eyes.
Wild out.
Yeah, it's got crazy eyes in it. And yeah, Daniel Radcliffe's all right, perfectly serviceable villain. Just generic. I want to get the thing. You person who clearly doesn't know.
I will make you help me.
I will make you help me.
Yeah.
And it's that plot. And he takes her into the tomb.
Hey mate, that's an adventure film there, right?
It is an adventure film, and that's what it is. But it has a romantic element because obviously
They fall in
Sandra,
love,
yeah, of course they do. And it's very cliche, but I found myself just that it don't pretend to be anything else. This doesn't even pretend to be a substantial.
Were you
film.
not entertained?
I was entertained. Yeah. Is this not why I was here?
100%.
And yeah, I was kind of into. So I think giving it anything more than a 6 would be intellectually. It's not possible. You can't. It's a 6. Did I enjoy it? It's not a meh film because I enjoyed myself.
There you go.
But it's not a good film.
No.
But if you want to go watch it, if you and your girlfriend
out now, guys, right? It's out now.
Go and watch it because you'll have gained absolutely nothing from it, but if you're a fan of a rom-commy adventure film, you'll probably walk out with at least a bit of a smile, oh, okay. I saw that, and I chuckled and I was amused by it.
Are you in any rush to watch it again?
Oh no need to watch it again. No need to watch it again. I've seen it now. Fine. I'll give it a 6. If it were you'd give it a 4 or a 5. I'll give it a 6.
Right, alright, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to put words in your mouth, but you would.
You often do, and it's fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, alright, okay. So that's your score. Mm-hmm. So let's move on to the next film on my list. So, very, very interested in hearing what you've got to say about this film once you watch it, because Mark's not seen it yet.
No, I haven't seen this film.
My thoughts are, right, so this film is directed by Ridley Scott, House of Gucci, and it stars Adam Driver. He's Kylo Ren from the new Star Wars trilogy. Yeah. It stars Lady Gaga, who was absolutely fucking amazing in The Star Is Born.
She was really
the best thing about that film by far. It has Jared Leto.
Oh.
It has Al Pacino.
Wow.
It has Selma Hayek.
Oh, pretty well.
It has Jeremy Irons.
Oh, so they've got out the big checkbook then, haven't they?
So you've got, chops there.
You have actors. And Lady Gaga, who I think is trying to prove herself as an actress,
Yeah, so she's 1 for 2, if I'm honest.
Right, so...
Just on Lady Gaga, she's 1 for 2.
Right.
Great in that, not so good in this.
So what did you think? What did you think of it? Like what?
So the plot of the actual. So it's on for 2.5 hours, and the main plot of it is, which I didn't know before going in. So the guy who kind of ran Gucci was murdered in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know, and basically he was murdered by his missus. And this film tells the story of when they met. To her, literally, it goes, "This is when they met. This is everything that happened in between, and this is when she got sentenced to 25 years in prison."
So this is like following the characters through time.
Pretty much, yeah. It's the story of Gucci, basically, how Gucci become like the brand it is today, basically. And it starts in the late 70s when they met.
Right.
And it ends. The film kind of ends in the 97 when she gets sentenced to 25 years. For murdering him.
Because she has him murdered.
She has him murdered. She hires a couple of hitmen and they fucking kill him.
Yeah.
On the steps of his gaff where he was living.
Yeah.
So basically when the main plot of it is Lady Gaga is this, her dad owns this haulier firm. He's doing alright, but they fall in love and his family are all like, she's after your money, fuck her off. And he's like, but then that pushes him towards her more and she becomes very manipulative. And basically, him and her, Lady Gaga and Adam Driver, they start to take over and be really sly and taking bits. Because basically Gucci was owned by two brothers, the Gucci brothers. And it was their sons who worked for Gucci. And when Lady Gaga's character comes into the picture, she gradually deteriorates their relationship and says, we can do this and we need to take this control of this, and so they swindle the family out of Gucci so they buy all the shares.
Right. Okay.
And then it's obviously the story where it reaches a peak and then it goes down and their relationship deteriorates and she just gets more bitter and bitter and bitter and ends up fucking getting murdered basically.
Right. Okay.
Right. So that's the plot. And going into it, you'd think decent cast. I'm interested.
Decent.
Cast. I mean, let's give Ridley. He's way past his best. But I'll still watch a film directed by him.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So I'm in there. I'm in. Yeah, exactly. So Ridley Scott, I'm in. Decent cast, and again, I'm really curious to see what Lady Gaga, if she can act.
I think basically when you were on about before you'd watch it, that was one of the big pulls.
100%.
I want to see.
I want to see Lady Gaga. Yeah, I want to watch another performance by her. She's way better in A Star Is Born. But again, I think maybe that is to do with the script because, guys, told you the plot. And it's true story, it's true story. It's based on a true story. It all fucking happened, all this mad shit with Gucci. And it's really fascinating, and I was really interested to learn about, I didn't know that, and that's how Gucci became what it is fucking today, a massive fucking brand. But for a kick-off, one thing that kind of annoyed me from the start is, so it's set in Italy, obviously. Yeah. And obviously all the actors are American, apart from Jeremy Irons, but they're all talking in the English/Italian accent all the way through it.
What were it you said to me? Like a panto, like it's Italian panto.
They deliver the dialogue very much like a panto. The acting in it is very big and pantomime. Did not expect
so the
this.
voices are like,
"Hello, Vincenzo! Hello, Luigi! I'm telling you this." So it's like that. I'm not even joking.
You want a pasta? We make the clothes. They're very nice.
Very nice, mate. Literally, that's how all the characters talk. That's how it's very pantomiming as a film, and I did not. I went into it, and now literally after about half an hour, I was like,
I'm surprised.
Wow.
Because what I think you wanted out of this film, again, to just dive into your fucking subconscious like I'm some kind of professional at this. I think what you were very much looking for were a bit like Goodfellas, an examination.
Yeah.
A serious, grounded examination. Maybe not serious.
I did. You're right.
I think you were thinking.
You're right.
You wanted that. And
why wouldn't we get that though?
It does seem like it would match the format. Okay, we just spoke about The Lost City, and that's what it is. You wouldn't expect an examination in that, but with this, I took one look at it, and I was thinking, like a Godfather-y, maybe Goodfellas, kind of.
And I think that the tone of the film is not. It doesn't go either way here or there. It's the performances that drive the film.
Yeah.
But mate, I first thing I said to you, then I said, the accent annoyed me after 5 minutes because it's almost like they put like doing Mark doing Italian accent. Hey, there's spaghetti, there's a Luigi and a Mario, because that's what you would do, and that's what how all the characters talk in that film.
It's almost
weird
because I mean, like Gucci and all that. It's a big part of Italian culture, isn't it? Like a big part. Like when I were in Italy, they'd get it's everywhere.
Yeah,
it is genuinely everywhere. Especially when I were in Rome, and it's all over the place.
Oh yeah.
Right. And it's just like a bit I don't want to be like add a level of portentousness to it, but a bit disrespectful. Like you could, were there no Italians available? Not to speak in Italian, because obviously a big film like this you can't have a subtitle.
But even be a bit more respectful with your delivery of the lines and the accent.
I'm sorry, I just
Mark,
find
when you
that
watch
a
it,
bit
you'll
rude.
know exactly what I mean.
I find that a bit rude in a slight way of just like. It's such a big thing in Italy, and you wanting to do it justice, and you play it like a panto.
Massively, mate. That's the only thing I can. The only descriptive word I can use for someone who hasn't seen it like yourself to go. Very pantomime performances from everybody.
Right. I am surprised.
Weird.
because that's not what it looked like to me. Like it looked like it were going to be, and also not really Ridley Scott's.
I'm shaking my head here, guys.
Do you know what I mean?
Because You have to see it. You
know what I mean? Most famously, Ridley Scott, of course, did Gladiator, but like, it's like...
Well, Blade Runner, Alien.
Oh, and Blade, but... Yeah, weird. That's weird that the tone is like that. And
I really want you to watch it, so I will watch it.
I will watch it.
And if you come out of it going, I don't agree with you, Chris, I'll be like, you're fucking wrong, Mark.
Okay, all right.
And I think you're going to notice that because it's something I've highlighted. It's going to be even more so to you. You're going to be
it's
more
going to come blaring out at me now.
And you're going to go after 10 minutes, he's right, oh my God, what's this? What are we watching here? Like, whoa, not what I expected. And again, at the end of the 2.5 hours, I was like, what I've got from this film is I don't know if Lady Gaga's a decent actor because I've only seen her do a really good performance once. And again, is that at fault of the script and the delivery, and that's just pantomime.
Yeah, well,
and I can't judge her on that. I'm not going to judge her on that.
I feel like it comes down to direction. Is that, you know what I mean? Actors like big actors, they're always going to try and go big, aren't they? And you've got to try and rail them in.
They're all eating the scenery in this, though, mate. Or every one of them.
Yeah.
Even Adam Driver, who's probably the most subtle.
He's still not very subtle.
He's subtle in a big way.
Yeah. He's not subtle about the subtlety.
No, he isn't, though. He lets you know that he's being subtle.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, go on then. Like, what would you...
I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Because, again, I took out of it, like, I learned about Gucci and how it become the brand. And fucking only, you know. Obviously, I think everyone knows about Versace was murdered in Miami, but I didn't know anything about this, so I went in there wanting to find out.
What is it with the fucking Italian clothing lines? Why are they all killing each other?
Fuck knows. Money?
Well, yeah, I know, but calm down. Calm down, it's shorts and t-shirts.
So again, you know, So 6 out of 10, mate. Yeah. Really disappointed with it, and again, it's jarring for me. The level of
that's it. I'm interested.
Extrovert performances and those Italian accents, mate. It's just like, stop. Ridley Scott went, can you do an Italian accent? Ridley, it's a me! You did.
He went perfect.
There you go.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for.
Who were your inspiration for this, Mario?
Woohoo! Hiya!
So yeah, 6. You'll give it a 6.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Strange for me. Jarring.
Right, so, so the final one I just wanted to talk about, Encanto.
I have seen this.
So, you have seen this.
You know my thoughts on it already.
Yeah, you're wrong. But, right, I do love a Disney film. I really do enjoy a Disney film. But I'd found myself in recent years getting a little bit, with them.
They seem to have a really good one then too that they just throw out and then you can move on from.
And this wasn't a throwy out one.
Cinema release, it was at the cinema.
It was at the cinema.
It came out at the same time as Spider-Man.
It did, and I really enjoyed it.
I genuinely don't know why.
I don't understand why you can't at least see what's correct about it. For one, it is a beautiful film. A beautiful looking film. Genuinely beautiful. As in, the animation is spot on. Mate, there's bits where there's hair on the back of the lady's neck, the attention to detail, the way that when they'll turn, the skirts act like proper skirts. There is attention to detail in the animation. It's colourful. It's bright. It's exactly what you want from an animated Disney film. It's colourful. It's bright. They've spent the money. People have sat for hours and hours and days on end animating the smallest detail on these girls' skirts or on this lad's hairline or stuff. The hair moves wonderfully. It's brilliantly animated, and I can't see how anyone could say
so
it's
on
not.
All right, technical level, okay, but that's just Disney. They know what they're doing.
Well, that's why I'm saying top of the shop. It's that but they are best in class anyway. At Disney, they are the biggest business in town. In this.
Yeah.
So fair. The other thing that I really enjoyed about it's the music is a modern musical, and what I mean by it was Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I did know that.
Who wrote Hamilton, and you can totally tell it's a musical kind of song, as in the sort of song from a stage musical, but poppy, like a pop song.
I mean, you watched it before I watched it, you know, and you was like, oh, it's really good, and a couple of people...
Yeah, and almost unanimously, everyone's really enjoyed it. I genuinely cannot see what it is that you disliked about it. I can't see it. I don't get
the
songs.
Let me just use... Right, I know it's not adoration, but I don't get the fucking adoration with it. I'm just like, it's pretty much a bog standard run-of-the-mill Disney film.
I mean, I would agree.
Okay.
I'll agree, but a bog standard Disney film, when Disney are doing well, is still quite a good film.
But then for me, it's not like a... Right, okay, so I'm not a fan, but say, like, we'll go to a Frozen then, where that just goes stratospheric.
I don't particularly care for Frozen.
No, I mean, I don't really.
But mostly because of that fucking Let It Go song, which just got hammered everywhere. Hammered everywhere. And I was like, can we as a culture
stop?
Let it go.
Yeah.
Like, you know, sorry for going for the obvious joke there, but we did need to do
No, of course.
But what I really enjoyed about it was the songs were, for one, fucking earworms.
I didn't get that.
Well, I already know for a fact that you spent the time on your phone, so you didn't watch it. Right.
No, I was watching it, but I was just looking at the
spies.
No, listen, man. The only time I looked at my phone, and you fucking I'm not having it.
And genuinely, these songs were meant to appeal not to my generation, although I quite enjoyed a couple of the songs. Are meant to appeal to the TikTok generation, right? And I've got to hand it to Disney there and go, that's clever, because they've got that just rolling marketing, and they haven't had to do anything.
No, okay.
They haven't had to do anything.
Yeah. I get that.
That Surface Pressure song, I was like, that's a really clever song, because one, they can make their own dances out of it. It's a bit of an earwormer. Pressure like a drip, 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 that'll never stop. Whoa. And it's just...
puts TikTok as small,
it puts itself in your head, and it won't go away. And the other thing that I liked about it was it's talking about something actually relatable for young people. It's about...
But even I said this to you, I thought even the storyline was a bit weak.
Right, but I think that's intentional. It's not really about that. It's about pressure and family and obligations. It's not really about a big...
expectations.
Yeah. And
I see them themes.
It's like what we expect of young people, like this... The eldest sister, the one who sings the pressure song, she's expected to, because she's the strong one.
So what is the plot? What's the plot?
Well, the plot is essentially that each of members of the family get a magical power from their magical house.
Right, but in it a magic lamp?
Well, it's from a candle.
Oh, right. See, I said this to you. I was
what's wrong with that?
That's...
But what? You've got to finish your sentence. But what?
I was turned off by that straight away.
Well, that is...
Mate.
I would like to say, cordially, is a stupid argument. What do you mean? It's a candle. The power comes from a magic... It's a story about magic. Why would it be wrong for it to be a magic candle?
I'm just not impressed.
But what else could it be?
Anything.
But what
else?
Oh, okay.
Magic lamp.
So you
magic lamp with a genie in it. Oh, come on. We need to write that film.
Well, anyway, each of them all get a magic power, but the youngest one, are part of the family, because it's like two sets of cousins, essentially.
I think, again...
Right, she doesn't get one. She don't get a power, and basically she doesn't know why. She doesn't know what she's done wrong.
So she's grown. She grows up a little bit.
Yeah, and she doesn't know what she's done wrong, essentially, to not get a power. And the meaning of that is cliche, but what I took from it is essentially that you don't always get what you want. Just because your sisters and your brothers and all your family have done these things, you don't have to do those things. You don't. To be special, you don't have to have something special about you. You can go and make your own way in life. And each of them, even though that they've got that gift, it comes at a cost. One of them has to be perfect. The one who can do the flowers, she has to be perfect and look brilliant all the time. The strong one has to always carry the burdens.
But you know what that highlights too as well, as a common thread for me for Disney films or Pixar films or whatever, is I do think they do portray the message that it's okay to be different, and don't be afraid to be different. Yeah.
And I think that this is basically just the encapsulation of that message. There's very little else in the way of plot. It's a message film. That's all it is. It's a beautiful.
Most of them.
Well, yeah, I know,
kids.
but there's usually more of a plot. Like, again, you brought up Frozen. There's more of a plot to Frozen. To it, there isn't a lot of plot. It's
literally set in the grounds of this house, basically.
in an Encanto, in an enchanted house.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's literally the name. of the thing. Yeah. So it's a remarkably well done way for Disney to just pass to young people that message, and it's not even nail on the head. It's just it's just there. And I thought it was they didn't have to spend that much money doing it. They didn't have to put that much effort into the music to go to one of the biggest names in musical theatre and say...
Yeah. Right, the biggest name.
The biggest name, Lin-Manuel Miranda's. You know what I mean? They didn't have to do that, but they did do that. And the message is actually, we shouldn't be always so jaded about things and think it's actually a nice message to have given to young people, that you can be special, but always be aware that anything that you do comes with responsibilities as well. You know what I mean? You can be special, but it comes with a responsibility as well, so you do have to find your place in the world.
You do. So, you enjoyed it?
I did enjoy it.
And I had issues with it.
You did.
So, what would you rate it then?
I would give it a 7 because I liked it.
Oh, okay. I think that's fair. That's fair. I think any more than that, I'd be like, Mark, come on.
No, I don't think it's got enough of a plot to... Like, a good film has a lot of plot. This doesn't have a lot of plot.
No.
But it's a beautifully done piece of messaging, essentially. And I've got to hand it to it, just the piece of genius marketing.
Well, like genius for the music and the TikTok generation and stuff.
Piece of genius marketing. So I've got to go, there you go, Disney, shake me hand, well done. There's all your millions.
Well, it's done its job on you.
Yeah, well, it didn't its job on me, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah. So there you go, I'll give it a 7.
Yeah, alright guys, yeah, that's us then for another episode.
Yeah.
So should we wrap it up, mate, and say our byes?
Yeah, so join us next time.
Join us next time, guys. Again, get us on Instagram at The Vault of Cult. Get us on Gmail at thevaultofcult@gmail.com. You know, we do love a bit of interaction on the show.
Yeah, we do.
So guys, we really appreciate you joining us for another episode of Vault Viewings. We hope to see you soon. Take care.
Bye.